everything I did to get 100% in GCSE English Literature. Now, the first step is to know your texts well. So what I did was index my books, like you can see here, and at the bottom of the pages, just so I know where each chapter was and each scene was. Now, once I had my text all ordered and indexed, I would go online and go onto a website called SparkNotes, not sponsored, because they have some really great in-depth summaries for the different acts, the different scenes. I'm showing you here and in spectacles, but there's a range of texts. What I would do is make note of some of these summaries and just make sure that I know the order of events that happened. So I studied Pride and Prejudice, and this is an example of the step 1 here. So what I did was I made a massive timeline of all of the events from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 57. Now, because there were so many chapters, I just wrote the key chapters in orange and I summarized them using the SparkNotes task that I did. And this is all I did to summarize and understand the plot. So this is something you can do. So step 1 of indexing and understanding the plot using SparkNotes and plot timelines is done. Moving on to step 2, which is making character maps. This is a character map that I made for my GCSE English and in spectacles. I know lots of you do this, so you can find this helpful. So what you can see here are different characters all written across this A3 piece of paper. Now, around these characters, you can see loads of different words. And I've used some really interesting words that if I was to implement them in my essays, I would get 4 marks just because it would wow the examiner. So for example, Sheila is spiteful, she's sheltered, wide-eyed, she undergoes maturation, scrutiny. So key things about each character. The best way to find words like this is to look, for example, at the character of Eva. We know she's vulnerable. So type into Google vulnerable synonyms and you get words like these. And when you implement them into your essay, as I've said, it definitely wows the examiner, and I'm living proof of that because I've implemented this and it got me 4 marks. If you're not a visual learner, you can do what I also did, which was make a Quizlet, and you can see here Eva Smith is, and I've done loads and loads and loads of different high level vocabulary and sentences. You can see some adjectives such as abandoned, downtrodden, impoverished, some really good things that if you implement, you'll do well as well. Note, I wrote character maps and not theme maps. Now, the reason being for this is because characters you can be asked about in an essay question, but in terms of themes, this can run across multiple characters, and so I would definitely recommend just doing character maps. We'll look at themes very soon. Now that's step 1 and step 2, making character maps done. We're moving on to step 3, which is finding 3 to 5 quotes per character and analysing them. So having quotes per character and analysing them is one of the more obvious English literature revision methods. However, I did it in a way that was really efficient and helped me when writing essays. So what I did was, for example, in the quote, Eric, she was a. So firstly, this was a Quizlet. So on the left-hand side, it was a part of the quote and I had to finish the quote. So that's the memory technique. And then below that, I didn't just do bullet points of analysis. I did some really solid grade 9, as if it was an essay analysis. So that's what you need to do when analysing your quotes. Write your analysis in this form so that you can easily refer back to these points when you're writing your essay instead of having to think of it on the spot. So after understanding the plot, creating my character maps and doing my quotes and analysis, I then looked at step 4, which is context. Now, I would argue that the way to move from the grade 7s and 8s to 9s is through context, linking your text, for example, and in spectacles, to key context moments like the workers' strikes, like the Titanic, like the world wars. And doing this shows your breadth of understanding and how it's going beyond the text to the context and what Priestley's message was. Just an examiner's tip, when putting in context, the examiners don't like it when you just put it in the last sentence of a whole paragraph, because that's not integrating it within your answer. You need to work on putting the context throughout your answer and relating all of the points to context, but not so overbearingly like at the end of a paragraph. Now, I've got many videos where I'll be showing my essays, so hopefully you can take the advice from there. Now, if you've done steps 1 to 4 well, then your final step is step 5, which is employing everything you've learnt in steps 1 to 4 in your essays under time condition. I can't tell you how many of these essays I did, but I did so many for each different component of English literature, and I would say this was the main contributing factor to me getting full marks in the exam. Now, if you have any more questions regarding English literature, then just put them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to Know for GCSE for a range of subject content, and see you soon.